Kristen mentioned that my assignments on the staff of the UAW kind of have two parts to them. One is bargaining and support for bargaining and contract costing, and the other is energy policy and new technology and things like that. So you can guess which is the more favorite part of my job. We're facing a future in the automobile industry that's, I think, really exciting. The new technology is coming faster and faster, and it means everybody's job is changing. I was really kind of charmed to hear Dean Jamison say just a few minutes ago about Purdue's efforts to get experiential learning into the pedagogy of what's happening at the engineering school, because as somebody who started out working the line at General Motors Willow Run Assembly Plant, that's all we ever had. In our world, it's called on-job training. On-the-job training, and somebody says, here's that part, take this screw and use it to attach that part to. Now do it again. Do it again, do it again, do it again, 500 times the first day, 2,500 times a week, 10 or 20,000 later, and you've had a lot of experience and you're really good at it. Now, to me, the biggest changes that green products are driving in the skill sets in the auto industry are not for the hourly worker. They're for the engineer. We've heard a lot of talk about that today, and I'm really glad that people are paying attention to it, because for us as hourly workers, that's our seed corn. The things that are being done around us here, up at the GM Tech Center, out in Ann Arbor or outside of Ann Arbor where Toyota has its tech center, those are the things that are going to wind up on the products of the future, that are the jobs of the future for auto workers. So it's a very, very important part of the value chain that really supports all the hourly jobs, and we recognize that, and we're very supportive of the kind of skills training and the kind of R&D support that the government can provide, that the companies are just pouring tens and hundreds of millions of dollars into. And the second thing I would say, following up a little bit on what Professor Helper said, is that we need good managers, and you can choose that high road, you can choose different roads, but so the kind of skill sets that are being demanded because of the greening of all the products really hopefully is a chance for better management up and down the supply chain, because that's what is very important to us in making sure that the companies survive and prosper. Good product engineering, good management leads to the potential for good hourly jobs. Having said that, let me say I'm one, and I think across the UAW people have a feeling that green cars don't really mean that much for the hourly jobs. The skill sets are largely the same. The auto industry has been doing a lot of these things for a long time, right? A hybrid transmission is still a transmission. It's got a bunch of gears in it. It's got an electric motor. Some of the electric traction motors are a little bigger than the motors that we used to make to have windows go up and down, but they're still electric motors. They're a little smaller than the ones that were UAW made for big serial hybrid locomotives. So these things have been around. It's a different product, but in many cases, in almost all the cases, the skill set is about the same. There are some new skills related to new products that aren't auto industry skills, but they're industrial worker skills. So I didn't get a chance to go see the A123 factory, but the kind of skills that the production workers are using there, some of them don't exist in the auto industry. They do exist in the chemical and processing industry. So companies like Dow, for example, have these skill sets in their hourly workforce, or some of the petroleum-based companies that are making materials have these skill sets in their industrial workforces. But let's talk about General Motors battery plant down here in Brownstown. It's on-the-job training. It's 3 weeks for most of the production workers. New skill sets around, yes, how to understand the voltage, how to understand how the battery pack is performing as it's being assembled, but it's 3 weeks of on-the-job training. That's the kind of skill development that I think, you know, we're looking at continuing in the future. Soft skills, and I'll change it in the future, but it's what I wrote down today. Soft skills are still the same set of soft skills. I mean, we were trying to catch up with the Japanese and got into the soft skill game 30 years ago. I was pretty involved in that at the plant level. But they're more important. And the reason they're more important because the pace of change is increasing. So we have new products coming into our factories faster and faster. We have new processes that the engineers are coming up with to save time, save money, save material, reduce waste faster and faster. So the soft skills for the production worker speak to that person's ability to sort of get with the program faster, to do faster ramp-ups of new products and get them up to speed, to work in terms of the problem solving that has to happen around new product introductions, to work in teams, to be able to do some things that maybe are a blend of soft and hard skills like statistical process control. That's something that these days is really in the hourly workforce's hands. Now, most auto workers of the future are auto workers today already. Even though we're going to be hiring, finally, thankfully, if we look up in 10 years and do a census of automotive production and skilled trades workers, we'll find out that most of them were people that are working today. So what that means is that we need a training model for the somewhat very small set of hard skills, the continuing importance of soft skills that works for people who are employed full-time, works for people that have families, and works around the lives that these people have, you know, the day in, day out stuff. When you're going to go and drive a half hour, 45 minutes to work 8 to 10 hours, take an hour back, you've got the kids to deal with. The idea that, you know, you're going to block out 4 hours every Wednesday to go to a community college and learn some skills might work for some people. It doesn't work for most people. So this, I think, leads to a training model that is a lot like what the Japanese employ in the United States, which is the minute you have some downtime, you train people. You don't lay them off. You don't save some money by laying people off for a week. You train them. I saw, I guess, in the Professor Helper's presentation, gauging technicians is a skill or an occupation that's in demand. In my world, we call those tool and die makers. They can gauge anything. They're trained to do it. They have a credential. They've got some schooling behind them. Gauging technician sounds like somebody that wants to hire a tool and die maker and pay them what a janitor makes. So I think that's a clear issue. New hard skills need to be taught and are best taught closely in time and in place to where they're going to be used. They're product and process driven. So when there's a new product, there may be some new hard skills. When there's a new process, that's what, for the most part, for an auto worker, it's when companies figure out how to do things better. Well, that better way is actually performed by the hourly people out on the floor. So the training needs of hourly people, not a lot of new hard skills, the need to move faster, the agility, the teamwork, the soft skills of problem solving, and in an auto plant, problem solving is just it doesn't have an answer. It just has a next step, right? You plan it, you do it, you check it, you act, you take that measurement, figure out where you're going. I do think, from me, from my point of view, there's a big gap in sort of what workers have, this image of the perfect worker that every company wants, and the actual content on the floor. So everybody wants somebody that's pretty good at math and maybe can do some algebra, a little geometry. But when that person shows up on the floor, there's no algebra, there's no math. There might be marking some data points for SPC charts. So, I would urge employers to really not think about this Superman industrial athlete person that you want and then hold that image up and try to get it. Think about what's actually happening on your shop floor.